Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon in hot Nashville.
All right, yeah. Hot Nashville.
Hot Nashville.
And hey, everybody, it's Todd. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are thrilled to death that you are listening to our little show. We just hit 275 episodes.
Oh, my.
I can't actually believe that. And it's largely due to the help of our supporters. I know I'm putting that right up front here, but the reason is we've got one of our longest running ones on the phone right now. Who are you? One of the longest running peoples.
I am Grand Poohbah, and I think second ever patron of this fine establishment, Martin Cliffe.
That is correctamundo. Oh, what would we do without you, my friend? Well, we'd be doing it for a lot less.
We'd have stopped at 175.
Yeah, possibly. And Martin is unique in that, you're going to find out all the reasons Martin's unique, aside from being a nice chap and a gear nut. But he's got a very interesting life style, I guess you might say. Is that fair to say, Martin?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, good.
Pretty varied.
I got that one right. I haven't screwed up yet. Tony,
Good job.
Thank you. I
One
appreciate
for Todd.
it. I like that. Keep track. I know he is always keeping count. Anyways, we've got a fantastic show, and we're really thrilled to be able to talk with him. We truly do appreciate all of those who support us on Patreon, and because the world's getting more tougher to do things in for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Not that we're on the massively suffering end of that right now, but, you know, things is tough all over, you know?
Yeah, now the gas is under $4 a gallon.
Yeah. So anyhow, let's get on with this. We got a few announcements. Road mics. Thank you so much to Rode for providing our lovely equipment. They've come out with some really awesome stuff, and we're talking to them right now to maybe play with some of that awesome stuff.
Beta. We like the beta.
So if you're creating content out there, I highly recommend. There are so many fantastic pieces of equipment that can really, really up your game. So definitely, if you're checking out new stuff, they are definitely worth the look. So thanks to our pal Nick Stillman down there, I should say.
Down under.
Yeah. And also, I wanted to mention that we've got James Pennington also, Poohbah, coming up, and he sent us his pedals, as I mentioned last week, and we'll be giving those away after he's on.
That's
okay,
smart.
We want everybody to him to talk about it and all that stuff, and then we're going to give them away. Just so you know, I don't want to bury the lead, as they say in the biz. I don't know if they still say that in the business. Don't bury the lead, Tommy. I don't know. Actually, on that note, I got to watch His Girl Friday with my youngest daughter last night. We love watching like classic movies and stuff like that. And she's opted for like all of the not classic movies after that house, Full House and all that stuff. That's what she wants to watch all that stuff. Yeah. But we were flipping through the channels. And she said, "Can we watch His Girl Friday?" And I was like, "What? Yes, we can." And if you haven't seen it, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's an absolute must watch from 1940, starring Cary Grant. And it's
Judy.
Well, it's not that one, but anyway, it is such a dialogue treat. Because it's so fast moving and fun. Anyways.
Wow. Welcome to 1940.
Yeah. Woo. It's crazy to see. Think about how that's 82 years old. It's remarkable how much the world's changed.
Is Cary Grant still alive?
No. No, I can confirm that because he would be 140 or 50 maybe. I don't know.
Okay. So, it's possible.
But you know what is interesting is in that film, he gets a physical for this insurance policy, and the guy he's giving the insurance policy to is wondering about it. He's like, well, I don't know if, it gets sticky. But anyways, the point is, he says, look, I've got at least 25 more years in me. And I was like, 25? The guy lived like 65 more years.
Yeah.
Like, what was the outlook on life back then? I'll live to at least 52.
Pretty grim. I'm 150 in caveman years.
Look, Judy, I'm hanging up the galoshes. 52. I'm done. I'm out. Anyways, I don't know what that was. I just decided to share that with you.
That's very nice.
Alrighty, we need to find out what's going in our music world this week. We're going to start off with Tanya Bolonsky sitting across from me, and then we're going to check in with our friend Martin Cliffe.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Hey, Martin, where are you calling from right now, by the way?
I'm actually at my parents' house, which is just near Manchester in the UK. I don't live here, which I guess we'll come on to later, but it's complicated.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, say hi to your parents and hope we're not disturbing them too much. Straighten out all the doilies and everything else. And try not to move around. I don't want you to make too much noise on the plastic covers on the couch or anything like that. Anyways, Tony, go. Sorry, I'm
Boy, you're just
this coffee is working, man, baby. Woo!
I don't think is that coffee in there?
Yeah.
So let's see, my music world this week. I was perusing the latest edition of Vintage Guitar Magazine, the one with Skunk Baxter on the cover.
How many times has your mother told you not to peruse?
I like to peruse. But there's an article.
Dumb. Go.
I don't peruse.
Go,
I don't peruse
talk
in public.
So I don't talk.
Yes, let's turn off Todd's mic. So in this issue, there is an article on two of my favorite things.
Is this from your stack of really old magazines?
No, this is the latest issue.
Oh, you said that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I did say that, but that's okay, Todd. You're not listening.
Continue.
You're just worried about what you're.
I'm worried about Jared's refrigerator.
You're worried what the next words are going to be out of your mouth. So there is an article about Steve Evans, and he is he loves guitars and he loves vintage cars, as do I. Those are two of my favorite things. And I do.
You have never once mentioned vintage cars on this show. I'm acting surprised because I am.
Because I try not to reveal all of my cards.
Wow.
I'm still waters run deep.
You're gonna share that in the jacuzzi like in a couple of weeks.
Yes, right? Todd, okay, pass me that.
Anyways, go ahead.
So it's really cool. So Steve Evans has been over the last I don't know how many years photographing cars and guitars with the same name. And he was inspired by an old Fender ad when they were introducing the Jaguar. And it's a picture of the Jaguar guitar in front of
MG.
In front of an Aston Martin. No, in front of a Jaguar.
Right.
And so he was inspired by that. And so there are just great photos all the way through. If you like old cool guitars, there's even a PV Horizon on top of a Plymouth Horizon. So it's not all fancy cars and such.
We got to put him in contact with Chase because Chase names a lot of his guitars after cars.
Oh yeah,
the
that's
Challenger,
true.
The Cobra.
Yeah. So it's really
Superbird.
cool. And I got a kick out of it. And obviously I don't have time to photograph all of my guitars and cars names, but there's some cool stuff. And right on the lead cover is my favorite thing.
Uh-huh.
If I had to, you're going to ask me what would be my favorite classic guitar and classic car? Go ahead, Todd. Ask.
Your favorite guitar and classic car?
Yes.
I'm going to go with Corvette.
You'd be wrong.
Okay.
Although that wouldn't be bad because you'd have to. There isn't actually a Corvette. Well, actually, there is a Corvette.
There are Corvettes.
The Gretsch Corvette. I forgot about that.
Isn't there the bass? The German.
Oh, Framus?
No,
Warwick.
the thumb.
The thumb.
Who makes a thumb bass?
The thumb
Warwick.
bass.
Warwick. Yeah.
Yes. But no, if I had to choose, I would.
Thanks, Martin.
I'd go back to that classic. I would like an E-Class Jag with a Fender Jaguar.
Okay.
And I've owned several Jaguars over the years. Guitars? No.
Okay.
But no, I don't have.
Yeah. Well, the E. I mean,
there is no better. Martin, what do you say? What say you?
About the car or the guitar?
Both.
Never owned a Jaguar guitar. We did own a Jaguar car for about 3 weeks in Hong Kong, but that's slightly complicated.
you keep saying that.
There's lots of complications.
Yeah.
Yeah, we bought the car. We never managed to get it on the road, so then we sold it to a mechanic who could fix it for a lot cheaper than he wanted to charge us.
Yes. Well, the key to most British cars is to have a couple of extra rotor caps and sets of points.
Yeah.
And a towel.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a big XJ6 limousine that we got for a ridiculously cheap price, but unfortunately, weren't able to drive it.
Crazy. And Tony, I know you've been waiting, maybe there is an Element guitar out there, since your favorite car is the Honda Element.
No, it's not necessarily my favorite.
What would that guitar look like? I mean, that would just
be square.
Oh my goodness!
Probably the closest thing would be that Epiphone Airstream guitar that they had out, the trailer guitar,
and there'd be like a compartment for like a granola bar, but not a good one, like the standard,
a 5-year-old granola bar,
the standard Hidden Valley Crunch. Yeah.
Stop picking on my
yeah, I'm just saying it's
lasting forever.
Actually, you know what's not too far off from that realistically is the millimetric guitar.
Yeah, I guess
it's sort of like satiny. It's like almost modular in a way. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Martin
raise a
Cliffe,
good point.
Get us out of
Todd.
this.
Okay, so this week I've actually been having a bit of a gear purge, which I know Tony might be horrified by the idea of.
Say it isn't so.
Basically, we lived in Hong Kong for 8 years until recently, and there is no used gear market there, so I accumulated a lot of stuff that was just then stuff I didn't use anymore. So while I've been in England, I've been clearing out some stuff on eBay. So this week I've sold, I think, 12 pedals, 2 guitars, and a bass.
What's your thing? Where can people find all your listings on eBay? Can you do that?
So my eBay username is Wakeman26, in Rick Wakeman, and then the number.
Oh, as in Rick Wakeman?
Yeah.
So WAKEMAN.
Yep.
26. All right.
Yeah, but because I'm leaving the country on Monday, I will have to be then taking all those listings down probably until next Easter.
Okay. So don't go there.
So don't bother. Do you have any capes available?
I don't know. Although my wife has an academic gown for like university.
That was just a question about because the wake.
No, I always wanted a cape.
Well, who doesn't?
Jared, you got a cape, right?
No, I don't have a cape. I got a giant robe though. That's like a 6X. I got. Because I never wanted to grow out of it. Hopefully I don't.
Well, hopefully you don't, yes.
I am curious, I don't know if you can actually search by
I think you can. Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Because I'm interested. I'm just curious to see what you have up there. But anyways, there's a lot of pictures of Rick Wakeman.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well,
and
that was fun, but
again,
saying, disregard doing that, everybody.
Yeah, don't do that search. So, are you going back to Hong Kong, or what's your next destination?
We're going to get into that. Wait. We're going to get into. We got to talk to him about stuff.
Okay, Todd.
Trying to jump.
Jeez,
the gun.
I was just.
Come on, let's keep things moving.
Yeah. Jared, go ahead.
Skip Jared. Just go right to Todd. What's in your week with Todd?
Yeah, no, it's Jared. Go ahead.
Jared, go ahead.
Yeah, Todd always goes last. All right. I got a guitar out and played it. Todd, go ahead. This is going to be totally a Jared style guitar week thing. I'm kind of anticipating my Mutron being fixed here pretty soon, and also
the prices on those things I've almost doubled. Like honestly, it's nuts. I don't know why that's happening.
It's crazy. It's totally crazy. I'm just it should be right around now or next week, and when I get an email saying, "Oh, your your biphase is done. So I cannot wait to get that back.
Oh, that'd be nice.
So I've been on breaks that I have during the day when I work. If I'm at home, this is going to be funny. But the most convenient record out of my record collection that I thought I'm just going to close my eyes and grab a record, and then I'm going to play along with it on the guitar and just kind of improvise whatever the music is, no matter what record I grab. And I've got a wide variety of music. And of course, what record do I grab?
Foghat.
I grabbed, oh no, you're going to laugh. It's
Kansas.
Milli Vanilli.
Again?
Yep.
Do you just have one record?
So yeah, I turned it on, turned it up, got my stereo system finally the way I wanted it. Because the record player's upstairs, and maybe a lot of the younger folks don't realize this, you have to have some sort of shock absorbing system when it's not on a concrete floor or a very stable floor, because if you walk by it and you're my size, it's going to skip. So I had to get some little spring shocks to put under the record player so it doesn't skip.
Could you have gotten those spring shocks for the bottom of your shoes?
I do, man. I have Nike Air Max.
Well, that should take care of it then.
It doesn't. God, it just nothing does.
Wouldn't like some egg crate foam or something work like that?
No, it's got to be some sort of springy shock absorbing.
Okay.
But really happy with the way it sounds.
Could you have suspended your turntable from the ceiling?
I thought about that, but the ceiling is on an angle, so it'll be extra difficult. But I did think about that. I think it's kind of close to where the TVs are, so the little tiny cables might impede somebody's view of the television.
Can you sit in a chair while listening to the turntable?
No, because I want to stand and play my guitar and play along with the music.
Okay.
Gotcha. Wow, you got a lot of first world problems, man.
Boy.
I got to tell you, man, I can't wait for you guys to come down and see the progress. And
We're gonna.
I got a great jam room.
Cools off a little bit.
Can I cut the grass when I'm down there?
Yes, you can. You're right, Todd. It's like I've got a large air conditioner for the bottom of the house, and a tiny like a smaller unit that is dedicated to the upstairs, and it just cannot keep up.
Yeah.
In the afternoon, it can't keep up. Right now, it's 73. It's great. But by the afternoon down here, it's about 82, 83 degrees upstairs. There's nothing you can do about it.
Wow. Sounds like you need a bigger unit.
Yeah.
We had our ridge vent replaced for our roof to try to cool the attic down, and it helped. It's about 5 degrees cooler than what it used to be.
Wow.
That's better than nothing.
Yeah. It was definitely an improvement. So that's Bob Vila Home Repairs from Jared Brandon.
Yeah.
Nice.
I actually have some
Todd.
other suggestions that I'll tell you about after the show.
Hey, Todd.
Yeah,
Yes.
what's up with your week, man?
What's up with your week, Todd?
Well, I bombarded our social waves with a very specific bunch of content, which was all about one of my favorite guitarists, Billy Duffy.
Oh, yes, I did see that.
Yeah, and I just if you're basically in the front row, you're gonna spend most of your time,
Were you in the front row or basically in the front row?
There was a man in front of me, a man and a woman in front of me. Yes. So
basically in the
8
front
more
row.
inches and I would have been the front row.
Wow.
Yes, I know. No, we spent a lot of time in the front, and then towards the end we went in the very back, just to kind of get that view of everything too. But it's we wanted the experience of just being, right there. I love that. Anyways, so it was really fun. I just had an absolute blast. The show was so good. I highly encourage if you're able to catch the Cult out on tour, I really highly recommend doing so, because they put on a really fantastic show. Aside from the music being, great, if you like that kind of thing.
What's not to like?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Lots of people don't like lots of things. Like me, I don't like lots of things. I like a lot of things. I also don't like a lot of things.
Wow.
Anyways, so that was a treat. And a bonus out of that is that I may have got a connection to possibly getting... I'm going to just
Could
put
you
this
throw
out in the ether.
any more vagaries in there?
Possibly getting the said,
Almost
said
possibly
person
getting...
on the show. If I say it out loud, then I might jinx it. But
Yes.
yeah.
If you say it 3 times, it'll happen.
I got some lead. I got some connection.
Nice.
And it was funny because I went with Leah, our singer from the Valentinos, and I said, she said, "What are you bringing a shirt in for?" And I said, "Well, I want to give it to him." And in my head, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll just be like, hey Billy, here's our shirt, right, from the Valentinos." And then we talked about it. And we're like, "Is that gonna be really?" We absolutely could have done that. Is that gonna be weird? And then I was like, "Oh, this is lame. I'm gonna put it back in the car. I'm not 15, sheesh." But I felt like it. And it was.
Yeah, it's pretty. You must be approaching middle age if you all you get are T-shirts instead of other things being thrown at you on stage.
Yeah, I guess so. So, anyways, that was really cool. But I also wanted to share. I don't usually do a twofer, but I'm going to share a twofer this week. So I was practicing set last night. We're getting ready to go in and record another. I don't know if we'll get a full album out of it, maybe an EP, but. Anyhow, so practicing stuff. And sometimes practice can feel just like that. Practice, where you go in and you run through the songs. And by the way, the Spark amp, this is not we're not getting anything from them, but holy mackerel, the Spark amp is such a great way to practice with things that you've already recorded or just learning. Holy mackerel, that has doubled my guitar playing time, at least. Because I can listen to like our recorded set from the last show and play along with it, right through the headphones, the same headphones. Back in the day, I used to have to put my earbuds in and then cans over it.
Oh, jeez.
But it worked. That's how I learned how to play all the Clash songs and everything. Anyhow, I digress. My point being is, after I got through. Going through our set and some of the new songs, just kind of winding down. I kind of had, it's kind of like I guess if you have to walk it off after you run, right, for a long distance. If you just stop, your body kind of seizes up. Where it feels better to kind of walk it off, right? Right. And I know that a lot of time when we're playing or we're feeling like, hey, I want to go play guitar and I need to come up with something new for the band. And if you approach it cold like that, you might be able to get something out of it. But what I have found, especially as of late, I would say the last 3 or 4 songs that I wrote came after I had practiced all of our set. And I started to think, well, that's probably just because I'm like physically warmed up at that point. That's probably just to a certain degree part of it. And I know that from maybe from a mental state, you're kind of keeping track of like, oh, these are the tones and the chords and the time signatures that are all kind of jamming together. So there's a familiarity already there. But the other thing I thought about was at the end of it, it's like you kind of have done all the stuff that you already know how to do, but your taste level is peaked, right? It's kind of like if you got a whole pizza and you eat 3 pieces, if you eat 4 of that same pizza, it's still going to taste like pizza, right? You're not necessarily getting anything more from it. Except satisfaction, maybe. Tony. But if you switch up to some other kind of thing in that realm, this is a terrible analogy. I'm going to go back to music.
Like a calzone.
Like a calzone, right? Or yeah, maybe Mexican food's better. If you have 3 tacos, time to have a burrito. It's the same stuff, right? Okay. Let me go back to the music, like I said I was going to do before you started introducing calzones. My point is that I found that all of those things together let me get to something new almost automatically. Like I wasn't thinking about, I want to make this thing. It has to sound like this or that, or the pressure of like, I got to come up with something new. I still, my brain and my muscles are still wanting to go, hey, let's keep doing this. Right. But I had run out of material. So my brain kind of took over a little bit for me. It was like, no, let's noodle around here. And you just start fiddling around and making sounds. And that's exactly how the last 3 songs I came up with happened. Like completely dropping out of the sky, out of the blue. But they didn't happen in a cold opening of just picking up the guitar and plugging in. Right. It happened after like I had done the thing, the warm up.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't know, maybe everybody else already knows that. But it just kind of dawned on me and I thought I'd share. So
on this week's Organic Songwriting Tips.
Yeah. Yeah. And we got on NPR.
Who?
The Valentinos were playing on NPR.
On NPR?
NPR. The WCO whatever. Yeah.
CBE?
What? Yeah, that one. Yeah, we got 2 people saying, dude, you're on NPR right now. Like, what? So they're playing our song on NPR. Anyways.
I guess
okay.
all those patron things helped.
I suppose so. So, okay, boy, this coffee is really doing a number on me. Sorry, everybody. Martin, are you still there? Have you given up on us?
I'm still here.
The rest of the show is all you, buddy.
Yes, thankfully.
Okay.
Yeah, so
We don't have to
you
listen
better
as
start
much,
doing
Todd.
your warm-up. Man, I was really on a roll there. I'm sorry, everybody. I hope that wasn't nauseatingly long, but I just had a lot to share with you.
Hey, Todd.
Yes?
You know, have you ever needed to go, you were talking about earlier, trying to, put stuff into left ear, right ear kind of thing?
Yeah.
Have you ever had an occasion to take a stereo out and split it between 2 1/4-inch plugs?
I haven't, but I bet Jared has.
Jared, have
and maybe
you?
Martin has.
Jared?
Yeah, definitely.
Jared?
Well, the good thing is, Tony.
It's called a sleep
Yeah.
in Nashville. You know what?
What?
If you ever do have that occasion, I understand there is a new Y splitter cable that is comes out of our good friends at
Tour Gear Designs.
That's right. I just saw it posting the other day.
That is
correct. And it takes a stereo TRS plug and splits it into 2 standard 1/4-inch plugs. And that way, if you have a stereo out, you can go into 2 separate amps. You can go into, if you have a guitar that has a stereo jack.
It's not just stereo from what I understand. It's like if you have, let's see here. It says, the flat pedal Y splitter cable by Tour Gear Designs lets you insert any effects you like and does not take up a lot of space, which we already know.
Yes.
Do your effect pedals allow stereo operation? Well, we mentioned that. Perfect. Open their possibilities with this simple cable. So it does do a lot of stereo.
Yes.
But also, if I'm not mistaken, it can handle like loopers things and stuff like that.
Lupa? Mr. Lupa.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, pretty neato.
And it comes with the same flat crepe-like cables.
Right.
With little teeny tiny ends.
I wonder how many people actually know what you're talking, like crepe paper, like creepy paper.
No, like crepe. Like a crepe that you'd get in Paris.
Right.
A crepe.
Well, anyways, why don't you head over to tourgeardesigns.com and check one of these cables out. If this sounds like something you need, you're probably going to need a bunch of other cables too.
And just load up your cart.
Do it.
And when you check out, Todd,
you're going to head over to the coupon code and put in the guitar knobs, all one word, and bammo, you're going to get 10% off.
An extra 10% off your entire purchase.
That is correct, and you will not be sorry. Thank you so much to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the floor. Jared? Let me get a little bit of this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor. Martin Cliffe, Poohbah extraordinaire, and gear nut. Monsieur, lend us your 4 on the floor.
Okay, I had to think about this quite hard because a pedal board with only 4 pedals is fairly rare in my world. But first I went for the Catlin bred Katzenkönig.
The Katzenkönig.
Yeah, which is not a pedal that I expected to like until I heard a demo of it. I think I'd love to play like Jeff Beck, but I don't. But one of the demos, someone did a version of 'Cause You Ended as Lovers, and it just sounded so cool on that demo of that song played through this pedal, so I went out and bought one straight away.
So,
And I still don't sound like
does
that.
it do?
I think it's kind of like half a rat and half a tone bender in one. I don't know exactly how that works, but it's a kind of distortion-y, fuzzy kind of sound. But it's really, well, at least how I use it is a really smooth kind of singing lead tone.
Right. Like kind of like a neck pickup kind of thing sound?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Is that your first? Do you own a lot of Catlin bred stuff?
Only a couple of pedals from them, but yeah, that one. It's a little bit noisy, so I do have to use it with a noise gate, which is the one criticism I'd have of it. But it's just it is a great sounding pedal for when I want that particular singing lyrical lead kind of sound.
Is that one that you have to put way up in the front of the chain?
I do run it first, I think, on my pedal board, but it's it doesn't necessarily. It's not like a Germanium fuzz or something, so it doesn't. It will work after a buffer.
Excellent. How about number 2?
Number 2 is the Sweet Sound Mofo Vibe.
Ooh, I haven't heard that one.
No, so apparently somebody, I think he was called Bob Sweet. He died quite a few years ago, but he made a load of different types of vibe pedals, and I think the Mojo Vibe is his most famous one. Mm-hmm. But the Mofo Vibe is just a single knob, small MXR size enclosure pedal. And in 2011, I was a demonstrator for RJM Music at NAMM, who make like MIDI switching gear and that kind of thing. And Ron had one of these in his rack that we were using for demonstrating, and I just fell in love with that particular vibe sound. It's very simple. It's probably a phaser, really, but it's just a really cool sounding pedal. So I went and bought one straight away, and it's been on my board for the last 10 years.
Wow. Well, that's high praise. Yeah, those run about $125 a used market, I think.
I think something like that. Yeah, you don't see very many of them. And yeah, there's a black one with a white knob, or there's a white one with a purple knob. I've got the white one with the purple knob. I don't know whether they sound any different. They probably do.
Yes, of course
Just
they do.
stop, Tony. No. Down,
I've been
boy.
looking for a black one with a white knob, but I haven't found one.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's just... wait, how about number 3?
So this is the Sir Sheba Drive, which is very slightly dark sounding overdrive. It's not really tube screamer. It's not quite as mid-humped as that. But I kind of like smooth sounding drives to a certain extent. So for what I do, particularly with humbuckers, it's just a really nice low gain overdrive that I leave on most of the time because I just roll the volume back if I want it a little cleaner.
Shure is one of those, Shure
Thank you.
is it's kind of one of those cult brands. I feel like people are either like all in on that brand or not a lot of toe dippers. I think.
I guess they're priced a little bit above a lot of other, because they're not quite boutique. They're a little bit too big for that, but they're also not like a mainstream manufacturer. So they're somewhere in between. They're a little bit more expensive. I have a lot of their stuff.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Case in point.
Including 5 Sheba drives.
Yeah. You have 5 of them?
Yeah, I have 4 different pedal boards that I use regularly, so I have one on each, and then I'm not sure where the 5th one is at the moment.
Wow. For some reason, I just pictured you as an organist, like except bass pedals for the. Pedal boards for the bass pedals. I don't know if. Yeah. Anyways, give us number 4.
Okay, so for this, I mean, it would have to be a delay of some kind, and the delay that seems to have found its way onto my board most recently is the Mad Professor Deep Blue delay, which is a digital, but it's an analog sounding delay. It's just a very good digital recreation of one, so you don't have to worry about chip shortages and that so much.
Interesting. What turned you on to that?
So I met the guys from Mad Professor, the giant Finnish guys, at NAMM in 2011. So,
Yeah.
and I've always kind of been interested by what they were doing. But then I think it was Matt Schofield was using that delay pedal, and I really liked the tone he gets. I like just a subtle delay, just to, again, thicken things up a little bit. And he uses it for that, and it sounds great. So I'd been using the MXR Carbon Copy for years, and I just wanted something a little bit brighter sounding, and that did the job.
Interesting. Yeah, Mad Professor is kind of like one of those brands that were, I guess you could say, early quote unquote boutique brands that maybe were almost kind of too early. It's like if they were earlier, their pedals would probably be worth a lot more. If they were later, they would be maybe more on more boards. They do make an awful lot of pedals, but they're sort of they're a known brand, but still obscure. They don't come up a whole lot in the 4 on the Floor.
No, I wonder if they're more popular in Europe because they're made in Finland.
Yeah, possibly.
Although I bought them in Hong Kong, so I don't know how that works.
Yes, well, you're a man of the world, so,
Yeah.
where you go, things will follow, I suppose.
Yeah, but yeah, I know that the history, I'm not entirely sure of. There's some connection between Mad Professor, is it BJFE, and Barefoot Effects?
Yeah,
I think
that
there was
sounds about right.
some parallels in the design and stuff. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but yeah, Mad Professor seems to still be going a lot, or at least a lot more visible than either of those other two brands.
Yeah, yep. Well, thank you so much for your 4. Oh, by the way, what pedal board are you using? Actually, thank you for your 4 on the Floor. Now we're out of that segment. Tell us about your pedal board real quick.
So I use a mono pedal board. It's the small size, so basically a Pedal Train Junior size board,
Cool.
with about 9 or 10 pedals on. I'm trying to think now. It's been 3 weeks since I've seen it.
And you have how many pedal boards?
So that's my main one, and then I have a couple of smaller boards with like 4 or 5 pedals on each. I've got one here in the UK, and then I play for 2 different churches, so I keep a small board at each of those churches.
Got it. And scattered around the world.
Yeah, well, at the moment only in England and then in Bucharest, Romania, where I'm currently based.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And then, so you bring gear to Hong Kong. I know you used to. Let's get in it. Hang on a second here. Let me instead of tracking your pedal boards all over, telling the story.
Check the tracking.
Martin, I think one of the things. By the way, everybody, we're talking about Martin now. So, one of the interesting things about you that we learned early on is I found it very interesting that you were living in Hong Kong. I think when you first joined us, you were in Hong Kong. And since then, you've, as we've corresponded, you're like, well, I'm in Bucharest now, or I'm in England now, and that just is a kind of a fascinating story there. So, can you kind of give us the background on where and why your travels have taken you to places?
Sure. I mean, it's all my wife's fault, really. She is a teacher, a chemistry teacher. And after a few years in the UK, she was looking for a new challenge, and someone said, "Well, why have you tried looking at international jobs?" So there was a chemistry teacher job came up at a good international school in Hong Kong. She applied for it, and off we went. She got it, at least, and then off we went.
She is of Asian descent, correct?
Yes, she's British-born Chinese.
British-born. So she had at least probably a little bit of a leg up there, right?
Yeah, my father-in-law was born in Hong Kong. He's lived in the UK since the 60s, but he still had family over there.
How long were you guys out there doing that?
We were working in the school for 7 years, but then we spent an extra year in Hong Kong volunteering full-time for a charity that redistributes goods from people who have too much to people who don't have enough.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic. It's funny when you were just talking about the Hong Kong and British connection. My head immediately went to one of my favorite authors, James Clavell, who did an entire series on this historical link between England and the UK and how that all started up, how Hong Kong started and all that stuff. So I'm sure you're probably not tied to the family that was in that book, but it's in my head you are. So there.
Okay.
And by the way, that's, if anybody's like, what's he talking about? James Clavell is the one who wrote Shogun, and then followed up with an entire series beyond that. So a lot of people will say, oh, wait, Shogun, I've heard of that book. Yeah, well, dig into it. Arguably the best book series ever written. Just saying that out loud. You were in Hong Kong for a long time, and then we were catching up, and you said, I'm going to be moving to Bucharest. How does one get from Hong Kong to Bucharest? I mean, I know it's a plane probably, but...
Yeah, we'd got to a point in our life where we were ready for something new. Hong Kong is a very exciting place, but it's quite tiring. It's a very lively, high energy place. And by the time we'd got into our 40s, we felt that we wanted somewhere that was a little bit calmer and also a little bit closer to home, because parents aren't getting any younger, and we wanted to be within 3 or 4 hours of them rather than it was a 13-hour flight from Hong Kong.
Do you know people there already, or?
We didn't. We soon got to know a couple of people through mutual friends. But it was just, again, just looking at which international schools were advertising for jobs. We ended up in a position where we basically had to choose between Lisbon in Portugal, Bratislava in Slovakia, and then Bucharest in Romania. And Romania just felt like the right place to be.
Interesting. You are very involved in music. This isn't the podcast about your wife's show or anything like that. But you've shared a lot of on your socials and just kind of back and forth with us. We've seen a lot of gear. You have quite a lot of gear. You like to experiment. I'm curious, as you're going from country to country, it seems like that would be limiting, because you'd be like, well, I'm here, but I can't. Either gear is really expensive, it's hard to get. How am I going to bring this everywhere? Tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think before we moved to Hong Kong, I had a bit of a clear out and sold on anything that I didn't see me absolutely needing before we moved. Because at that time, we didn't have a vast amount of spare money, so we were trying to keep shipping costs as low as possible. I think I sent 2 guitars and a bass over, and a handful of pedals. But then Hong Kong is a really good place to get gear. There's no import tax. There's no sales tax. So you can get stuff relatively cheaply, and salaries generally are pretty good over there. So I built quite a stockpile. Quite a ridiculous stockpile, really, of gear during 8 years in Hong Kong. And then it was a case of, okay, now we're moving in 2011 during a global shipping crisis in the middle of a pandemic where everything costs 3 times as much as it should to ship. So,
you mean 2021?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I said 2011.
Yeah, I was like, wait, there was
Where
one
did that
back then?
go?
Yeah, so it was a challenging time to move. I ended up shipping 19 guitars, a drum kit, 4 keyboards, 6 or 7 amps.
Oh my!
And then maybe 90 or 100 pedals, which is why I had plenty that I could clear out at this time.
Wow, you're making a lot of people consider Hong Kong right now, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun place to go for a few years. It's definitely worth visiting. It's a great place to visit. But if you can, living abroad just for a year or two is great fun.
Yeah.
I can definitely recommend it.
Were you just playing just to play for yourself? Like, were you? I think I recall you talking about like teaching music.
Yeah, so after a while of kind of just being in the school community, I gradually took on various roles, including running sound and lights for the theatre and stuff at the school. It was a big international boarding school. And then I got to know the music department, and when one of the guys left, I was asked, do I want to start running. I'm not a qualified teacher, so I couldn't teach classroom lessons, but I could run ensembles and extracurricular activities, so like band sessions. So I started doing that, and also did some bass guitar one-on-one tuition.
That had to be exciting and a new challenge, I imagine.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, these are wonderful young people that I was working with in small groups. So I'd be working with 6 or 7 kids usually, producing some really fun music, and just encouraging them and sharing my experience from 20 plus years of gigging, and then putting on concerts. And they're just basically, my role was music coach, and I was literally coaching young people in music.
So you're like School of Rock.
Yeah,
You're Jack Black.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that the school saw me basically like a sports coach, but for the music department, and so I rolled with it and had a wonderful time. I did that for about 4 years.
Now, have you kind of established something similar in Bucharest, or are you working on that?
I'm working on it. Since Brexit, visas are a little bit complicated in Europe if you're British. So I cannot currently work in Romania. So I'm working on that.
You can work for free in Romania.
Yes.
Which is not working.
That's called volunteering.
Volunteering, yes. Tony helps me with words.
Yeah, still working on my residence permit as well. So I've been in and out of the country for various times this year. I had to come back for 3 months in the winter to the UK because my visa ran out, and then went back for 3 months. That visa ran out, came back to the UK, and then I managed to get it's called a family reunification visa at that point. So I was no longer a tourist, so I could go back in on that visa. And now I'm applying for residency, but it's, complicated, as I think I've said a few times.
Yeah,
that is. I can't. That just sounds absolutely exhausting, aside from complicated. And the amount of trust you have to put in systems and waiting and stuff would have me clinging to the ceiling. That would be very difficult. You're a patient man, Cliff.
Yeah, I mean, what we've learned, Hong Kong bureaucracy is everywhere, and everything is very slow, but it's very systematic. So if something says it'll take 30 days, it'll take exactly 30 days. In Eastern Europe, it's kind of, if something says it'll take 30 days, it might be done in 5, or it might be done in 100 days. So you just have to kind of roll with it and just be flexible.
What is the so you're gonna stay more permanently, I guess, or not permanently, you're gonna stay longer now in Romania. What is the draw there?
I think it's an underappreciated gem in Europe. Bucharest is a beautiful city. It's got a lot of history. The weather is really good. There's great public transport. Cost of living is low. So from that point of view, it's a really good place to be. We're involved in a really good community, both in my wife's school and also in our church. So we're very happy in that kind of social sense. It would just be nice to find gigs and be able to do more playing. Really would be what my goal at this stage.
Right.
Because with COVID, nothing happened for the first year that we were there.
Yeah.
Was there a language barrier for you?
Yeah, not as much as Cantonese was. But I can at least read Romanian a little bit. I mean, I speak a bit of French and a bit of German, so I can kind of figure out what some of the words mean. But quite a lot of people do speak at least a certain level of English. But a lot of the community, there are quite a number of expats, not that many British, but quite a lot of Americans and other people who do speak English to a certain extent.
As far as your you're playing, you're talking about gigging and stuff. Like what kind of stuff have you grown up playing? Or maybe not grown up, but just where's your musical history stem from?
I guess I sort of came into music at the tail end of kind of the hair metal era. So I was born in '78, so I was kind of the end of Guns N' Roses and Bon Jovi and all that kind of stuff. And then Nirvana hit. So, I liked the
87?
Sorry?
Nirvana hit in like 90, 91.
91, yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry,
He was
hang on.
born in 78.
You were born in we did the math on. Sorry, we forgot you grew up during that time. So.
Yes, immediately as an infant, he was listening to.
Well, both of us looked up and said, "Wait a minute, the math on that." So,
Yes.
okay, go ahead, Martin. We screwed up your thing. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I think my parents actually blame the Transformers the movie animated film for me getting into hard rock. I had the soundtrack for that on vinyl, and I used to listen to that all the time. That was a really cool rocking record, particularly when I was like 7. Possibly very different to what else I was listening to. But yeah, I started playing guitar at 12 or 13, so that would be 1991 kind of time, and got into playing. I was playing Queen and Def Leppard and Metallica and that kind of stuff at that point. Played
What's
quite
your
a lot
favorite
of
Def
metal
Leppard
over
song?
the years. Probably Hysteria.
Okay. Well, that kind of goes with your smooth thing that you were talking about.
Yeah, it's also one of my favorite karaoke songs, but it's not on very many karaoke systems.
I love that band. Karaoke.
Yeah. I've kind of diversified from there. A friend introduced me to Dream Theater when I went to uni, so I got very into that. I can't play any of that stuff, but
Who can, really? I mean,
no, yeah, but that kind of sent me down more of a prog route after that. So when like the side projects that Mike Portnoy did, Transatlantic, then got me into Spock's Beard and the Flower Kings and other kind of the European Renaissance of prog, which came out. I guess that would be early noughties. There were quite a few bands coming out at that time.
Is that where the Wakeman thing comes from for you?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how Yes kind of fell into it, but I'm a big Yes fan. More as a bass player, probably, that I fell in love with the way Chris Squire plays bass.
Great musicianship in that band.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've been playing bass alongside guitar again since I was about 15 or 16. So. And certainly done a lot more paid gigs on bass.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to get gigs if you're a bass player than a guitar player.
That's the thing. Everyone wants to be a lead guitar player. No one wants to play bass. It's like, yeah, but you can earn money playing bass.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, I think, so prog rock is sort of it's another thing, kind of like...
Kansas.
Oh, hi, Jared.
Yes.
Hi, Jared.
I
Did you
like
wait-
Kansas.
just wake up? How's the fridge coming?
Yeah. Did you get
It's
stuck
coming.
in it? So, prog is one of those things, kind of like sewer gear, where it's you kind of, if you're in it, you're kind of all in it, and if you're not,
Not sewer
you're not.
gear.
Sewer,
Sir.
sure. It's like soldering.
Yeah, it's a little nerdy, which probably describes me quite well. Not like super nerd, but just a little nerdy.
Who are some of your other favorite prog bands?
I love Marillion. I love Porcupine Tree. Trying to think now.
Those are very proggy names, but
Yeah, I mean, I fronted a prog band for a few years, and we released a couple of albums about 12 years ago. But I'm trying to think who else I saw. I saw Dream Theater live 8 or 9 times. Back in the day, there were lots of good concerts. I'm sounding old. Back in the day.
Back in the day, back when it's $1.50 to get in the door.
I guess my toe dip into prog really kind of, I reached the edge of the water with Rush. I do really like Rush a lot.
Oh yeah, I completely blanked on mentioning Rush. Yeah,
It's
again,
okay.
huge Rush fan.
It's okay, yeah.
Yeah, I just can
You
never
didn't
sing
lose any
of it.
street cred with the prog community. I doubt it. So you're good there.
Does he talk like a regular guy?
I know him, and he does. Running jokes, always great. Okay, so let's see. Let's talk about some of your early gear. Why don't we? And then we'll get into kind of where you're at now. Where did you start off with gear?
I started with like it was an Encore. I think it was the E76. It was a white Strat copy, made in India. I think it was about £80. So what's that? $100. Yeah, it wasn't great. Basically plywood body. Yeah, it lasted maybe a year, and then I got like a Westone Thunder, old early 80s, kind of weighed a ton.
Yeah, a lot of that
hardware.
Westone stuff though is really, really good. I mean,
Yeah,
was it a
I wish I
Japanese
still
made-
had that guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the ads for those Encore guitars. They promised layers of sound.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. Appropriate use.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it weighed a ton, but it got me playing, and it looked like Hendrix's guitar a little bit, except for a rosewood board. So
That's cool.
I think that was the reason. So I had that with a little 10-watt valve state Marshall amp, and that was my rig for years.
And then you moved on to the Westone.
Yeah, and then I think I had an Epiphone Flying V.
Yeah.
Good man.
And then another Westone, because I needed money for a bass, so I sold my Flying V. I traded my Flying V for a Westone and some cash with a school friend.
Do you regret that?
No, I'd never particularly got on with the Flying V. It was not a great one. It was one of the ones. It had like a single locking tremolo. So it never stayed in tune. It wasn't great. If it had been a proper Flying V with like a fixed bridge, I may have got more into it.
Yeah.
But then I dropped that Westone on a concrete floor and snapped the neck. At a rehearsal, unfortunately, not at a gig. Otherwise, it would have
Were
been
you
much more
angry or
awesome
something?
story. Well, we were playing "Smells Like Teen Spirit," and my strap fell off. So
It fell off, or you were doing a swing around
I
the
suspect
next
I was
swing?
jumping around quite a bit at the time.
Yeah, that's fun. So let's fast forward into now. Like, where are your musical tastes lying now? What are you playing, and what are you emulating?
That's a good question. My main guitars are Sir Standards. I have 3. I at one point had 8, but
Wow.
I've reduced that down. Tony has made a couple of pickguards. Well, I think 4 pickguards for
I
me. for them.
believe so.
Yeah, both my main guitars have pickguardian pickguards.
Of course. We would expect
so
nothing less.
I have one that's absolutely. I have one that's a dual humbucker and one that's a 3 single coils. They come HSS, but I always find HSS is a bit of an ugly compromise. I'd rather have single coils and then humbuckers in different guitars.
Now, and which models are these?
They were the Sir Standard Pro. I think it's the Standard Plus is the current model, but
Strats though.
Okay. Yeah.
it's like Super Strats. They're a little bit smaller, not quite as pointy as like an RG or something, but not as rounded as Strats. I always find Strats like slide off my leg if I'm trying to place that down. I'm
Yeah.
not a Strat fan.
That is ironic that you're not a Strat
Yeah, that
fan,
I play a
but
3
you
single
play all
coil guitar,
Strats.
but I don't like Strats.
You've mentioned like 6 Strats so far. I'm not a Strat fan.
Now, have you ever owned any of the Pensa Sur guitars?
I haven't. I've played one. It was beautiful,
Yeah.
but no,
There-
I've never
I don't-
owned
that
any.
was when John Sur was just kind of getting
You mean
started.
Sewer?
Sewer. When that Sewer guy, but he hooked up with Rudy Pensa in New York, and they formed a company together to really get his the guitar line started. And I've played a couple of those, the Pensa Sewers, and boy, they're wonderful instruments.
Yeah, I think that was even before he was working for the Fender Custom Shop. So
Oh, yeah.
That was a long time ago. Yeah, but I mean, Martin Knopfler's guitar is a beauty. That, they were phenomenal guitars, but they're very expensive.
So, what is the draw to the I am gonna try to say. I honestly, I'm struggling saying this. This is ridiculous. I can't. I'm struggling with this brand and the thing that you melt.
Solder.
What is for both of you? What is the draw to Mr. Sewer?
Sewer? I mean, well, I can on myself. I would say because he was one of the earliest, I guess, boutique builders of guitars, and went on to work at the Fender Custom Shop. Now has his own line of guitars,
and amplifiers,
and pedals,
and
yeah,
pickups,
yeah, the whole ball of wax. And I think that they're the ones that I've picked up and played, I've just been really impressed with. How about you, Martin?
Yeah, I mean, I played Ibanez for years, and I think had Ibanez brought out the AZ series before I got my hands on a Sur, maybe I would have just stayed along that line, because they are basically very similar kind of guitar in many ways. But at the time, I was just looking for something that was not quite as modern, because I was playing an Ibanez Satriani was my main guitar at that time, and I was looking for something. I inherited some money when a family member passed away, and I wanted to spend it on a special guitar. And that guitar is my Blue Sur that I've played for the last 7 years. And yeah, it just felt immediately right. It's the first maple board guitar I'd ever owned. And now most of my guitars have maple boards. It's like, yeah, you try on a nice pair of pants and they fit perfectly. You don't need to find any other pairs of pants.
Well, you probably should have more than one pair, but I understand.
Yeah.
I understand the analogy.
But you just buy another pair the same.
But they might not fit the same.
Yeah, that is true. Depending on who's making. Well, that is the difference, because that is a great analogy, actually. Let me expand on that for a moment.
Please do.
If you are having bespoke pants, okay,
Bespoke.
they're one at a time. They're made by the same person, et cetera, and tailored to your, pants needs.
Dimensions.
Yes, they will go to the same cut every time. What's interesting is when you buy Gap jeans or even Levi's or anything like that, anything that is mass produced, fabric is stacked like super, super, super high. They cut the material from top to bottom. They're shifting in that. I'm not making this up. I used to have a very, very close friend who worked for
pants manufacturer,
Banana Republic, and that's how I was like, why don't my pants fit the same? And she explained to me that was one of the reasons why. Not, maybe not the only reason.
Because they cut a big, tall pile of fabric.
Right. It's interesting. I mean, it's not like you're going to get, two sizes different, but just within a size, it can be different. So the same thing might be coming from any kind of a mass-produced style line of things where you're...
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
You're absolutely right.
Thank you, Tony. That's twice today.
Twice today.
All right.
That's a new record.
And counting.
All right. So, yeah, because this brand comes up, and when it does, it's like, it's just so good. But curious is what... So thank you for answering that, guys.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like the headstock, so that puts people off. It's a bit kind of... It's... I would about to say chalk and cheese, but that's a very English expression.
Chalk and cheese?
Yeah, as in two things that I guess look the same but are very different. I think, I'm not sure.
Like turds and chocolate.
Okay. Yeah, that's not as eloquent.
Specifically Babe Ruth's.
Yes. And you lose the alliteration. Thank you. Yeah, my coffee is wearing off now.
Tell me about the rabbits,
Yes.
George.
Yeah, it's kind of... It's not traditional, but it's not super modern like a pointy Ibanez or BC Rich headstock or something. It's somewhere in between, and I guess that's kind of where I fall. That I don't want modern pointy guitars, but I also don't want necessarily a traditional Telly or a traditional SG or whatever. Although I do have a Fender Telly and a Gibson Les Paul. Mm-hmm. You need a bit of variety every now and then.
Yeah.
Paul has pickups from Jared in, so.
Oh yes. Do you find that you like particular colorways in your instruments?
I I have a blue guitar and I have a red guitar and I have a black guitar, and then my Tele and my Les Paul are both sunburst. So not really.
Yeah, variety is
No
the
sparkles?
spice of life.
No sparkles. I'm considering. Well, I have considered getting a sparkle base made, but we'll see where that goes.
Cool.
I like that. Sparkles is fun.
Sparkles.
Yeah. Let's talk about so from amp wise, where are you at with that?
I'm using mostly Black Star amps these days. I've got a couple of the
Nice.
10th anniversary Studio 10 combos from a few years ago. I think it was 3 years ago they made them.
I'm personally a fan of the 60-watt Solo. Really good amp.
Yeah, I mean, these little ones, they're 10 watts, they're single-ended, so it's literally just one preamp tube, one power tube, 12-inch speaker. Very, very simple. I run them pretty clean. I get my dirt from pedals. So I have one, well, I have two of each, but I have one that's 6L6 and one that's the L34 model.
If your pedals disappeared in thin air for one day for no reason at all, maybe aliens or something, there actually is, in my opinion, pretty good dirt that comes out of the Black Star. I think they did a pretty good job. Myself.
Yeah, the EL34 one has a really nice drive sound. I'm not as much of a fan of the 6L6 drive, but the clean is better on that one, so it's a bit of a compromise.
I agree.
Right on. Now, traveling around all over the place, do you find that you have like a more practicey kind of amp that you use?
Not anymore. When I was in Hong Kong and I was like literally walking from place to place, I had just one of those little Boss Katana minis. But I mean, these are only, I'm trying to think what it is in pounds. I put neodymium speakers in them, the Neo Creambacks.
Yeah.
So they only weigh 15 kilos, which is what, 32 pounds?
That's not too bad.
No, so yeah, that and one arm guitar case on my back, pedal board in the other hand. I'm good to go.
Nice. You are such a supporter of, well, you support our show, which I can't thank you enough for, as well as so many builders that you've connected with. And not just our show, I know you support others as well. Can you just kind of share your thoughts about your place and your connection to all of us out here?
Excuse me.
Did you just throw up in your mouth right there or something?
Not quite, just a little bit of a little bubble. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just like the idea that small builders or people can put a company together, or even just themselves make something that's really cool and a little bit different. And even if only a few people get one of those and appreciate it, I think that may have come from being a prog fan. A lot of the bands don't have huge fan bases, but these days with the internet, you only need 10 people in one country and 10 people in another country and so on. And all of a sudden you can make an album. And in the same way, you get a few hundred pedals around the world to different people, or a handful of guitars in the right hands. And people are just making really cool stuff. So I love that while I've got nothing against playing Boss or MXR pedals or whatever it is, I like the idea of going at least. I'm maybe not kind of uber boutique guy, although I've got a few things by Alex at Xander Circuitry. But
he makes some
I like
great stuff.
He does, yeah. I think I've bought 5 of his pedals. It's a shame that he's changed the format now. So I've got the old ones and the new ones are cooler.
Yeah.
But I love that. I don't get a lot of chance to use that kind of level of dirt in what I do. But
the Junipero or Junipero or whatever. We never did sort that out. But did you get a chance to try that pedal that he put out? That was his big sort of exit from the mishmash of all of the dirt pedals that he was making into modulation. Did you?
Yeah, no, I didn't try that. I think I've got the Surplus and American Geek, which I think were the 2 of the early ones. I've got the Seaver, the Terra Firma, and one other, and I can't remember what it is, but they're all pretty dirty. I think my alter ego has like a secret stoner doom kind of musical taste that I don't know about, and then every now and then I find these things on my board and think, what was I playing?
That's fun. You need, you need, as much as you like the center of the Oreo, you need the cookies on the outside too.
Yeah, so I'll find my Les Paul tuned down to like drop B or something, and a whole load of dirt pedals with lots of gain.
Nice. Anybody else that you think you've paid special attention to as far as pedals or guitars outside of Sir or what you've just mentioned?
I'm good friends, well, reasonably good friends, I guess, with Ron Manelli from RJM Music. Again, I did NAMM with them 11 years ago, and we've met up a couple of times since when we've been in California. And he produced, some of the earliest really good switching systems. Certainly, not kind of at the level of Cornish or whatever, but at an affordable level, you could get something that would do switching in a really good way. So I've got a couple of his Mastermind controllers and a few other bits and bobs. I'm happy to support and promote them in any way because they're really cool guys. They're down in just outside San Diego. And then Mike Lull, custom guitars, all my basses now. Well, once I sell my Fenders, will be Mike Lull basses.
Mike Lull?
Yes. Yeah, so Mike, I think he used to be a roadie for Pearl Jam. He passed away a couple of years ago, unfortunately, but his sons are carrying on the company, and they're producing really. They do guitars as well, but their main line is custom built basses, 4 and 5 string basses.
Nice, very cool. Well, I really appreciate your sort of range of things and your appetite for gear, and I think probably turning gear over quite a bit is fuel for that. But having turned over so much, is there anything that you really regret getting rid of?
It's interesting. I actually made a video about this a few months ago on my YouTube channel. But I have one guitar that I wish I hadn't done. I think I took it a mod too far. I had an old Charvel 275, like Jackson Dinky style guitar that I got when I was like 16. And the last time I tried to refinish it, I lost a couple of parts. And this was pre-internet, the internet as it is today. So I was just unable to find replacement parts for them. So in the end, that guitar left my collection. I just got so fed up with it that I trashed it in the end, which was a shame because now I would be able to find the parts on Reverb in 5 minutes and no trouble. Other than that, I don't really regret anything that I move on. I'm very much kind of minimalist minded in the sense of I like to keep stuff around that I use, but if I don't use it, I'd much rather somebody else is using it and having fun with it. And so, if I'm not playing a guitar, I want to see it played. I don't like guitars sitting in cases.
Yeah, I like that. By the way, I guess this could be a tiny little PSA, but based on what you just said, I've had a couple of things like that myself, and I can, fortunately, we've got between Reverb and Craigslist, and at least in some of the states here, we've got Music Go Round, which is a franchise that allows you to turn over music gear. But some things, that if you take them down those ways, you're really not going to get what you want out of it. But it could still be good gear. Maybe not good for you anymore, maybe not the right gear. But there have been several things. We've got, I got my kids in music in their schools and stuff, and the programs and the teachers there, along the lines of what you were talking about earlier, are so dedicated and they're so fantastic. And shout out to Mr. Black, and he's doing so much. I know this is a very, very focused thing right now, but I know that there are people listening who know who he is in the tighter community here. Anyways, point being, if you have gear, even like, little crappy practice amps that you might have had that if you tried to sell it, you probably couldn't get $25 for it. That's an amp that some kid may not be able to even get, right? So I would highly encourage everyone out there, if you have gear that you feel like you want to part with because, to your point, Martin, gear that's not being used, is that good for anything? And if you're not going to sell it for a nice turnover to get something else, what do you do with it? Give it to the music teachers in the schools around you, and you're going to feel really good, and you're probably going to help somebody out who may not have ever had the chance to use something like that. That's a tiny little PSA. I'm throwing it out there for the teachers.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a great way of doing it. Or sometimes charities as well. If there's a youth group in your area or something that has a rehearsal space, that old, crappy amps always break. So there's always room for a spare guitar amp or bass amp or whatever. Old cords, if you've upgraded all your cords to Tour Gear, or your patch cables to Tour Gear Designs patch cables, maybe you've got a bag of old ones that you can pass on to a young guitarist coming up.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that all came from a bit of my kind of tagline on I think on Instagram and certainly YouTube and Facebook is musician promoting promoting mental health and something about minimalism. I'm not got it in front of me, but because having too much stuff around that I'm not using as well, I just found it clouds me kind of from a mental perspective. It distracts me if I see stuff that I'm not using, and I'm most creative when I've got less stuff in front of me.
I'm going to tap on this really quick. You just brought up something that I wonder how much this has an effect on. I'm taking a stab. This is layman's psychology here, but do you think that there is pressure of not doing something well or not doing something enough that can create like sort of negative vibes for you? Like if you've got a ton of pedals or a lot of pedals and they're sitting there, but you're not using them and you don't have time, do you think that could actually be a mental burden of like you're not doing something well enough or something along those lines?
I think it can do. I think there are different kinds of people that respond to different kind of things. So there are some people who like just having stuff, and if it goes too far, you become a hoarder or whatever. But there are some people who like having options and stuff, but other people, I think, you do get a sense of guilt or maybe imposter syndrome if you have stuff that you feel you're not worthy of.
Mm-hmm. Curious to see how things play on our minds. Anyways, well, Martin, it has been an absolute delight talking with you, and thank you for sharing so much of your personal world. We'd definitely love to have you on again in the future. And we're right now, before we get to that future, and whenever that is,
in order to get to the future, sometimes you must go back in time.
Yes. And what are we going to do, Tony?
Jared,
we're hopping in the El Camino.
Well, we're going to hop in the El Camino.
That's right.
And help Jared move his refrigerator.
That's right.
The guys are going to be here to do that, but you can help them if you want.
Will there be beer in the refrigerator?
Yes.
How about the El Camino?
Yes.
Maybe take the beer out before you move.
The El Camino is iced and filled with beer.
Yes.
Of your liking.
All right, Jared, do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for one of the best segments ever known to man called Would You Rather?
Wow.
Wowzers.
That was lovely.
Wow, that was an extended play.
Extended version. A little bonus this week. Well, since we were talking about prog bands earlier, which I'm a fan of the 70s prog bands, we're going to have a Would You Rather related to that. So it's Time Machine again, everyone.
I like
this
the Time
time
Machine.
We sent the Time. Yeah, Time Machine. I love Time Machine. This time we've set the Time Machine back to the 1970s. on your time phone, you receive 2 calls from prog bands that desperately need a fill-in guitarist.
Did you say? Did you say time phone?
I did.
Is there such a thing?
There is now.
There is in this segment of Would You Rather. Welcome to our world. Good old Robert Fripp is sick and needs a sub for King Crimson.
Oh, yes.
Steve Howe is stuck in traffic and, yes, needs someone that can fill in his shoes. So it's either one or the other because it's Would You Rather. Which gig do you take before you have to head back to the present day of 2022? Which gig are you going to do?
Wow.
Ooh. Okay. This is tough. Now, I think maybe let's give it just a very, very, very brief background. Tony, can you and Martin?
Well, let's have Martin do it.
Martin, you want to just give a very brief, a little bit of color to the difference maybe between these 2 bands?
Name off a few hits.
Okay, so Robert Fripp was is still leader of King Crimson, who have a very diverse catalogue. But I guess by then we're talking in the Court of the Crimson King kind of era.
Yeah, that would be about right. Yeah,
maybe a little bit later than that. Their albums were very, very diverse. Quite. Some of them not so easy to listen to.
Kind of experimental, you might say.
Yeah, very, very much more on the kind of out there side of prog. Whereas Steve Howe and Yes, again, still quite complicated music. Particularly the Relayer album with Patrick Moraz on keyboards. A couple of the pieces on that are very, very advanced. But yeah, I think the singing is definitely the big feature in Yes. So you'd need to be able to sing some backing vocals, I think, if you were stepping into Steve Howe's shoes as well.
That's true.
And play every stringed instrument under the sun, pretty much. I think.
Have you ever seen that? I have a Steve Howe collection book. It has all of his guitars and things in. Of course I do.
Rabbit hole.
Oh,
I have seen it. Yeah, I haven't properly had a chance to flick through it, but
yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
he's got some great stuff. So,
just for clarity, Jared just said rabbit hole, which was a signal like, don't take me down this rabbit hole, you jerks.
I love rabbit holes.
No. It's a good rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's move ourselves.
So in this case, both the stuff that Robert Fripp plays is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
The stuff that Steve Howe plays is very difficult, I would say. I think I think in both cases it would be difficult to fill in both of these shoes. So for my would you rather, I would be afraid to take either one because I would probably destroy the legacy of the bands if I filled in just this one time.
Uh-huh.
But I would have to say I could probably hack away at some of the Steve Howe stuff in Yes more than I could the Robert Fripp stuff in Crimson. So I would say I'm going to take the Steve Howe gig, and hopefully he finds his way through traffic and gets to the gig so he can kick me off the stage. Final answer.
Okay. Jared, how about yourself?
Probably the same. I want to have the opportunity to play several stringed instruments. So, yes. And plus, when I was at construction, they called me a yes man because I always said yes to everything when someone wanted me to do something.
Oh, I've got a few.
Come over here and lift this. Yes, I will. Come over here and do this. Stay an extra few hours so we can finish this. Yes. So, yes will be my yes.
All right. Wow. Okay.
There it is.
So far, it's one-sided. How about you, Martin?
I think I'm going to continue the one-sidedness. While I love kind of playing crazy out there stuff, I was a huge Yes fan I am a huge Yes fan, though maybe not so much the later stuff. I would probably hack at some Steve Howe stuff in the way that Trevor Rabin did on a few of the gigs. But yeah, I love vocals. I love vocal harmonies, so it would have to be the Yes gig.
Well,
Todd?
say you don't want to chance it. You've been hurt so before. I got to do that.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, of course. I'm going yes.
I'm taking one of your exes off the wall.
Watch it now. I love that. It is actually the only song I know from Yes, and I do love that.
Well,
song.
unfortunately, that's latter. It's
doesn't-
1980s Yes.
But that's what I'm going with. So I want to jump in the.
But we're back in the 70s,
yes.
so this is Roundabout, and this is.
Well, that's okay. No,
Tales of the Topographic Oceans.
I actually do
Except
more.
Todd's
yes
answer.
No, I'm still going with yes because that actually jogged a couple of musical memories that were stuffed away with a little dust on it. So
Answer accepted.
yes,
It's
yes.
unanimous.
Yes, it is unanimous.
It's sorry, King Crimson.
Yes.
Yes.
A little throwback to Toast of London.
Yes, we love Toast of
All right.
London.
Well, that was a great one, Tony.
Thank you, Todd.
Yes, and Jared.
Yes, of course. Yes.
All
He
right.
can't stop saying yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got
Tony,
that
right about-
the vocoder thing from. It was on the Yes Drama album, I think, in 1980. There's a on one of the songs. There's a vocoder part which just goes yes, yes, and that's just going through my head now continuously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Todd, at this point of the show, there's a special group of people that we love to thank.
And not
That's
for pity's
right.
sake.
No, we just love to thank them. We do. These are our executive producers. Now, you might be
That's right.
wondering what an executive producer is, and maybe more importantly, how you can become one. Quite simple, actually. Head over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple different levels in which you can participate, become a sponsor, a patron of this very podcast.
Yes.
Each level comes, yes. Just say yes at patreon.com.
Todd will send you stuff.
Yeah, and this is your chance to prove yourself. You are the move you make.
That's right. Yes.
We're just
Okay,
coming.
go.
Keep going. We're going. So each level, Todd, comes with some very nice thank you gifts. Excellent, you might even say. But as an executive producer, you get all those great things, and there's one more thing. And Jared, what would that be?
I don't know. Martin, what is it?
You get to have your name read on the thing.
Your name read
Beautiful.
on the thing.
Yeah, give your, be yourself. Give your free will a chance.
Oh, Todd, please.
You've got to want to succeed.
Stop it, Todd.
Sorry.
So special thanks to these executive producers: Moon Guitars, Veteran Pedals, Drew Lopez, John Helverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Mike D, Richard Kendall, Mark Garton, Matt Hart, James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Gemolero, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterly, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, John Anglin, Tom Barazin, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology. What? Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hemmer, and Stuart George.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But wait, Todd, there's more, because we have a special level of executive producers. We call them our Grand Poohbahs.
That's
Yes.
right.
I believe our guest knows a thing or two about a Grand Poohbah
I
ship.
think so.
Hey, I forgot to ask, do you have your fez upon your head?
I don't, because it's in Bucharest.
Well, that's a
You know,
problem.
I think, okay,
Yes.
I can accept that excuse.
I should explain that I should have been there yesterday, but flights.
Yes. Well, and
Yes.
one thing that's interesting about the Poohbah level is, up in the penthouse, we've recently installed brand new life-size Jared Jared-shaped mirrors in which you can see yourself because you are the steps you take.
All different directions.
Are you a
They're fun
owner of a
house.
lonely heart? Let me ask you that.
Okay, go.
So special thanks to these Grand Poohbahs. Breath in, breath out. Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Igareda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wow Pickups, Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robison, Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Sean S. Eddie Saratos, David Poe. Oh, and there's one more. I think his name is Martin Cliffe.
Hey. All right. Thank you all so very much. We've mentioned it several times already, but your help helps hugely.
We could not do this without you.
Nope,
we would
that
not
is-
have 275 episodes without you.
No, and now 276.
276 as of right now.
Yeah. All right, Martin Cliffe, where can people find out what you're doing on wherever you are in the world?
So most of what I do publicly is on YouTube. So it's just youtube.com/Martin Cliffe. That's CLIFFE. I talk about music. I talk about minimalism. I talk about mental health. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you Instagram, same username, but mostly pictures of food.
Yeah, that's right. You guys do take a lot of, but you're all over the world, eating all over the world. So
Now,
that's
what
cool.
about the things that you don't do publicly?
Anyways, Tony, how about yourself?
Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the things that I do, the things that I offer. Best thing to do, though, is shoot me an email. Let me know what you need, what you're trying to do. I can customize something special for you.
Yes, we got to work on helping to show all of the fantastic materials that you have to work with.
Oh,
a
yes,
little bit more.
I have a few of
I
those.
think we need to
Would you like
work
to see
on
them?
something like that.
Yeah, more than just gold sparkle.
Yeah,
like
well,
some people only
your
know.
entire stock is reserved for me. So hands
I think
off.
So got to buy a
As
full
long as
sheet
you've got
for
white
Todd.
pearl, that's good.
Yes, indeed.
Jared.
You can find me on the fun channels of Instagram, jared.allen.brandon. And you can listen to my dogs bark too.
There you go.
No, give me a message and I will talk to you about pickups, gear, whatever you want.
Yeah. And Brandon Wound Pickups is still rolling strong with Zach at the helm. So you can still go over there and get yourself a nice pair of Brandon Wound Pickups. I actually just put some in my Flying V.
That's right.
So you can send me an email, Todd at theguitarknobs.com. You can also DM me on Instagram at guitarknobs. We would love to hear from you. Send us your fabulous would you rathers. Connect with us. Share your thoughts. And we really appreciate you all out there. Martin Cliffe, thank you so much for joining us. We really enjoyed talking with you. And thank you so much for your support.
It's been a pleasure.
Take care of yourselves, everybody out there. Have a fantastic guitar week and subscribe.
Just some Weetabix and cup of
Weetabix?
tea, I think.
Why not
We-
bangers and mash?
It's true. It's a shambles. Anyways, I'm gonna get me out of that. Right. That I would have definitely had to backtrack.
Yes. Edit.
Hello. Hello. Jared's
hello?
here.
How'd that happen?
I've
Yeah,
come
he
in.
appeared
This is my third
on the
time
mixer
coming in
briefly
the
and then
room.
disappeared again.
The first time I got you,
Okay, number 3.
That was number 3.
Sorry, my bad. Well, I'm glad you're keeping track.
Good job.
Hang on. Oh, boy, I'm crashing now.
We're counting backwards. How about number 2?
Yeah.
test.
There you go.
Test.
There you go.
Test.
There you go.
Right there.
There you go.
All right.
All 3 tests were good.
Or just like tape it open so you don't close it by accident.
Tape that works. Yes, or a zip tie.
Is your
Awesome,
fridge
that was
there?
fun.
Is that what the dogs are barking at, Jared?
Yeah. Yeah, it says fridge is here in the chat.
Yeah.
The second time I just got Martin. Martin.
Why do you
Cliffe.
keep changing rooms, Jared?
Just coffee. That's it.
That's not good for you, man.
No Weetabix?
That's not good for your constitution.
I wish I had more. Trust me.
I was kind of expecting like half a cow or something.
Constipation.
Yeah. So every time I take a sip, I close it, and then every time I pick it up, I forget to open it. So one of these times, I'm gonna reverse of that, and it's come spilling out. all
Maybe
over
you
my
should
face.
develop a lid that opens itself when it's tilted at 45 degrees.
That's a great idea. Get on that, Tony.
Okay, I'm working on it.
We've been around you quite a few times where if breakfast doesn't happen, things are gonna go very bad for a lot of people. Like,
Oh man.
what?
Just you. First time I came in, I just saw you. Second time I came in, I just saw
Sounds like you need a new computer.
Yeah.
our guest.
Try-
This is the new. I don't want to think about that stuff. Let's.
All right, let's not think about that stuff.
I must not think bad thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
I must not think bad.
No, I don't. No, I don't. My computer's awesome.
No.
Let's rock this thing, man. Let's do a super good podcast.
The queen has arrived. Oh,
Yeah.
let's move.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.